episode of the Adeptus Ridiculous podcast. My name is DK Diamantes. Oh, look, it's still Kiriath because Bricky is roaming the countryside doing what he do. But before we get into that, if you enjoyed today's episode and you want to support the podcast, head over to patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous, where you can get access to the Discord, bloopers if they happen. $15 tier gets you access to all of our posters in just the crispiest, most beautiful digital form. You should check it out right now, patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous. And if you want to get some of our sick merch, whether it's the new stickers, the just immaculate Kiriath sticker, or the Never Having Good Days one, objective markers, dice, hoodies, all that great stuff, shop.orchidate.com will get you all settled up. You should do it. Do it now. We do love that money. Kiriath, how are you today?
It's such a good end to the pitch. We do love money.
We sure do. Capitalism reigns supreme once again.
We just want more coins for the coin throne. If you want to boss baby it, there you go.
Yes.
Get the boss baby out nice and early, and then we don't have to mention it ever again throughout the
Today's episode is corn. It's corn. It's corn. I got the quote. It's corn.
Oh, if only. It's not. I'm sorry.
It's world eaters. Anyway, go ahead.
You've been set up here. You've been set up.
Someone set us up the bomb? Oh, no.
Oh, Possum is all over you. Because after
this
just
is
before
the
the
Monster
mystery
Hunter
quote,
thing, isn't it?
if he doesn't get this, I will hunt him for sport, says Possum. So,
all right. Well,
the stakes are high. The stakes are high this time round. Because if you're not on top of this, an angry rodent, I was going to say marsupial, but that's not what a possum is, I don't think, is going to track you down and presumably kill you in your sleep, or potentially, wire, gnaw through all your wires and ruin your electrical systems.
I feel like I don't want to, let's not make excuses before I miss the quote, but go ahead, give me the quote.
Okay, you got to dig deep on this one.
All right, lock the fuck in. Got it.
I am here, called a voice, and the throng of demons parted around a lone member of their gathering. It grinned at them with its flayed vulture face, and then that face was gone. A new creature crouched in the air before them. Soft blue silk hung across its body, and it had no face, just a black space beneath its hood.
So this is some chaos nonsense.
Yep.
Blue silk. Just a black void face?
After the first face was a flayed vulture face. Then that disappeared, and it was replaced with a black space beneath its hood.
So this is sounding very Tzeentch. Because, Tzeentch loves their bird nonsense. A lot of blue stuff there. A lot of... An empty void, honestly, I don't know if this is just because, this is my favorite, but, it's feeling Thousand Sunsy to me.
I mean, you pretty much nailed it when you said Tzeentch.
Okay.
You pretty much got there straight away.
Good. Good for me. We'll just win for me. High fives all around. So it's the Tzeentch episode?
Yes, we're doing another Chaos God indoctrination episode. We did Nurgle.
Let's go.
Now we're doing Tzeentch. And Shy, no credit. It was too easy. Harsh.
Listen, nothing is too easy for me to get, okay? I was going for the Imperial compound yesterday, my friend, or not yesterday, last week.
You got it. That's what Possum wanted, and now Possum is going to hunt you in your sleep, so this was the one to do it on.
It's not going to hunt me in my sleep, yeah. And my favorite faction is the Thousand Suns. So, yeah. I literally just started reading the Thousand Suns Horus Heresy novel just because I was like, hey, it's my favorite faction. I need more Thousand Suns lore.
Oh, Prospero Burns?
No, actually. It's literally called A Thousand Suns.
Oh, no, no, that's the Space Wolf one, isn't it? Prospero Burns.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I remember I was looking for a good Thousand Suns book. And I was like, oh, is it Prospero Burns that I want? And I remember, I don't know if it was in a stream chat or something, no. That's the one from Lehman Russ's perspective, which you might still want. But if you want a good primer on the Thousand Suns, you want that other one. You want 1,000 Suns, and then you want the Ahriman omnibus. So, yeah.
Both of those books did a great job of making two legions that I wasn't particularly hot on, seem like the best ones of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're very, very good for that.
Yeah.
Really good. This is the most chaotic introduction that I think has ever been put into one of these scripts. So
I doubt it.
I'm just gonna go for it, and we'll see what happens. I feel like there's one specific commenter that I've noticed a few times, and I think they're being targeted specifically here. So the introductory paragraph for today. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Detective Ridiculous. We hope you had a great time learning about the Sons of Malice. My name is Bricky Diamantes. Be sure to drop your thoughts in the comments below. Good night. So we're starting out with
Huh. Yeah, that is a lot to unpack.
We've gone full chaos straight away, which
we sure have. Yeah.
feels appropriate.
Yeah, that's that yeah, my exact reaction, Shy, like that gif, I'm just like, huh.
I will point
the head
out
turn
that
and everything, yeah.
It was sort of the way that this was put, it does seem to be optional as to whether that got read out, but I just decided Possum put it in there, so Possum can deal with me reading it out. Which I think is,
yeah.
I don't know whether that's fair or mean. I'm not really sure, but either way.
It is what it is now, so
it's out there. Anyway, this week we wanted to go back to the concept we had about a month ago regarding Nurgle and do a bit of an extensive deep dive with another Chaos God from its early meta history onward. So this week we're going to be looking at Tzeentch, allegedly. The Chaos God. we know Tzeentch exists as an all-knowing and unknowable entity in the warp. They're a trickster, a conspirator, and a master of unreality. We are merely one of the 5 contestants on the stage, while he is an omnipotent little Alex Horn on a galactic scale, which is an excellent description.
Oh, it really is. It really is. I remember we did an episode on Tzeentch, but I don't remember a lot of like the specific sort of origins of Tzeentch. So I am quite looking forward to this episode because I remember his domain is just an ever-changing thing. Eyeballs are everywhere. Doors are going to places that don't exist or to different dimensions. So I'm excited for this one.
I love doing I love doing these deep dives. I know we've only done Nurgle so far, but I enjoyed that so much, and we got like a bit more into like the meta side of it. This is going to be good.
Yeah.
We as humans offer Tzeentch something in the prize task portion of the show that makes us utterly essential for his existence. Something a bit more specific than what the other gods are feasting on, because we have something that the other species in the galaxy either lost or never had in the first place. So we'll be going into his early history, his relevance to humanity specifically, and the plethora of gifts he gives and assistance that he's had over the years. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why he is so deeply intertwined with humanity. So let's crack on to the next task. To best understand Tzeentch at his core, one needs to go back further into the history of the Chaos Gods themselves to see their impact on humans in the first place. So, as we mentioned in the Nurgle episode, the Chaos Gods were introduced to both the setting of fantasy and 40k at the same time with the Realm of Chaos books. For most of the gods, this is fairly seamless due to their more primal sense of being, but Tzeentch is a bit of a weird one. Tzeentch is directly related to magic in both settings, but the implementation of magic is a bit more straightforward in the fantasy setting because it's a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
But like the scale of the Chaos Gods in the world of fantasy is on a lesser scale, despite the massive uptick in different races and factions. So Tzeentch ends up being a bit more multifaceted as a means to compensate for this. Like, there's plenty of magic and sorcery in the 40k setting, but there's a predominant factor to Tzeentch's existence that ties more directly with the nature of humanity in 40k.
Okay.
There's a specific paragraph in the Realm of Chaos Lost in the Damned book that's cited substantially when it comes to the Chaos God's relation to 40k, because it's within a description of the Emperor's role in holding back the horrors of chaos through the history of humanity. But the quote is quite often misunderstood in its presentation. So the Chaos Gods, as we know, have both always been around and have never been around. There's no, like, reasonable and logical timeline for the gods, because they're just that. They're gods.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like that's always sort of the mythology of the gods. They have both always been and, like, I don't want to say never been, but it's just like somehow, paradoxically, they have no beginning and they have no end, right?
Yeah. The gods were a bit more dormant in ancient history. Now, people time and again will cite that the actions of humanity are what woke the gods one by one in the first place, but that obviously puts a lot more emphasis on humanity than humanity deserves at that time in their history. So this is one of the better summaries of what occurred with the Chaos Gods during the course of early human history. I'm going to copy something in for you to read.
Oh boy.
There you go.
Khorne was the first of the great powers to wake fully, and an era of wars and conflict raged across the globe. Tzeentch was the next, and nations and politics grew to adulthood with all of their implicit intrigue and double dealings. Nurgle was the third to awake, and plague swept across continents, claiming many souls for the Lord of Decay. That's me. By the end of the Middle Ages, all three of these chaos powers had awoken to full consciousness. The fourth power, Slaanesh, still slumbered.
That little "that's me" got me. I was taking a sip of water as you were doing it. I was like, I'm safe for a second.
I've gotten to the point where every time I see the word decay, like, decay and rot, I'm like, oh, me, that they're talking about me.
it's gotta
me.
be done.
Decay. Wow, it's me.
Oh, God. So sometimes, like that segment, bit oversimplified and taken with some omissions, right? So you'll see plenty of posts that say that the actions of humanity during the Middle Ages woke the Chaos Gods, but that's not really the case. Humanity had reached this point in their development, and this coincided with the Chaos Gods waking up, and their waking is what caused these things to happen.
Oh, so it wasn't necessarily... Yeah, because I always kind of thought that was the case, where it was like, humanity had sort of reached, I don't want to say their crescendo, but like humanity had started acting up and being awful, and that's sort of like what gave rise to the Chaos Gods. Kind of like the same way that the Eldar reaching their peak were like, oh man, I guess now we better start just mutilating each other and having live murder sex shows and being just the most excessive beings ever because we can find no other way to exist because we've reached the pinnacle. That's how they gave birth to Slaanesh. I kind of just assume that's how like every Chaos God was like sort of woken up to ash and dust, if you will.
Yeah, it seems like it's more that the Chaos Gods, not necessarily coming into existence, but becoming what they were, is what caused those changes in humanity. So it's like a proper reversal of like the birth of Slaanesh. So like you can look at that and juxtapose it with history and say things like Khorne caused the Crusades, 100 Years' War of the Roses, Nurgle caused the Black Plague, but with Tzeentch you have a bit of a weird one with the politics grew to adulthood bit. Because the part that's that feels, I don't know why, but anything involving politics in this particular day and age, Tzeentch,
I love
might be actually
that, like,
real. I don't know.
I was going to say, I love the fact that with Tzeentch, it's just like, yeah, politics existed before Tzeentch, but once Tzeentch awoke, it's like, oh yeah, they reached a whole new level of just awful. And it's like, thanks, Tzeentch, go away.
Please leave. We were doing fine.
Yeah, please go back to sleep.
So the part that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting in amongst that is the implicit intrigues and double dealings bit, but you don't need political structures to have those things. And yet Tzeentch leans heavily on that in the same way that Khorne leaned on war in the Middle Ages and Nurgle leaned on the plague. So if you get down to like the bare bones of it with the above examples, you could say that Tzeentch is responsible for the concepts of like feudalism or monarchism, but he'd also be responsible in the sense of a church-based leadership as well. And this is one of my favourite titles that Possum has ever put in. Vote for Tzeentch. Change you won't believe in.
I mean, or it'll be change that you end up regretting. Right?
I like the idea of just vote for Tzeentch. change, and then that's the whole slogan.
Yeah,
Not.
that sounds more accurate. Just like change. Period.
Is it good? Dunno. Is it bad? No idea. Is it going to happen? Yes. And then that's it.
Depends who you ask, right?
That feels like another T-shirt.
It
Along
actually,
with the born in time for Gath ribbon, we could have vote for Tzeentch, and then just the word change, and then nothing else.
what's the big the obey picture, but it's just change.
One or two more tentacles, and you're right in there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That I've seen that picture before. It always gets me, mostly because of the
it's so accurate though. Like it's so that's accurate.
And then in the background, there's just reproduce, but it's cut off slightly. We'll get into the aspects of hope in a little bit, but it would be good to go into this a bit more as humanity's extremely vast, swathe of political powers in the 40k setting seem to be perfectly designed for Tzeentch as a perpetual feeding machine for him. Because taking the idea of him creating feudalism and monarchism by stirring in his slumber, it means in a domino sense he is responsible for the Imperium itself and is consistently fed by all the different aspects of it. Because even though it's built off of the corpse of the Emperor himself, the Imperium's political structure embodies the best of the politics of the Middle Ages and beyond. It's massively chaotic, to say the least. The scope of leadership is all over the place. Even though it claims to be unified under one banner, you'd be hard-pressed to prove that they're actually unified, even if they all believe in the same Emperor. The best example of this comes in the form of the High Lords of Terror themselves. So, famously, they were very corrupt in the past, when the Imperium was attempting to reform itself.
Oh, yeah.
And just a little bit, that stayed fairly consistent for quite some time, and it eventually leveled out and came to heal quite a bit. But despite being leveled, it is exceptionally, and emphasis on the word exceptionally, convoluted. So, you've got the 12 High Lords, known as the High 12, 9 of which are fairly consistent in their position, and 3 others that could come from a separate pool of lords. Then, you've got lesser lords that are overseen by a Chancellor of the Imperial Council, and some of those lesser lords are either independent organisations with the Imperium as a whole, or they are sub-factions of those who might have a High Lord position. So in total, there's somewhere in the vicinity of 22 completely separate, politically driven organisations represented in the Senatorum with their own unique structures and figureheads, and, most importantly, ambitions.
Oh man, Tzeentch must love that. Whew.
So much potential for backstabbing, for politicking, for manoeuvring, for trying to disrupt one person to get what you want.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Whenever we talk about the Imperium, it's just especially now, I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, Tzeentch must love that. Man, I can't believe how much the Imperium is feeding Tzeentch. And then I think about it, and it's well, I mean, the Imperium is feeding all of them pretty hardcore.
A massively complex, politically corrupt, warmongering, stagnant, decaying empire that is made up of trillions of humans who are furiously having to reproduce to keep the number of humans up.
And Chaos never wants that to end, where they just keep, it's just this never-ending circle that feeds on itself, right?
100%. The cycle can't ever actually stop at this stage. It's just permanently locked in.
Yep.
Now, despite how convoluted the structure of the Imperium is, probably thanks to Rabuse firing a whole load of them and dusting off some ancient Excel documents to help organize things better, it's clear that the Imperium is somehow functioning. Somehow. It hasn't actually totally collapsed and imploded, and the various lords are at least capable of keeping some things afloat. But that is not an easy feat. It's highlighted in Watchers of the Throne that the work of the Senatorum is a borderline impossible feat due to the extreme size of the Imperium, and that all they're really trying, they're trying to do what they determine to be their best. Like, imagine a council room on our planet of Earth attempting to keep tabs on the entirety of the Milky Way with the sci-fi equivalent of a can on a string to communicate with all of them.
Yeah.
You could be the most competent person in the room, which most of them actually are, and you'd still be dealing with completely insurmountable odds.
Yeah. Impossible. Good luck. It's not going to happen. Just focus on Earth.
Yeah. But they keep doing it. Like, they keep doing what they can to get the job done regardless of the others in the room. So to be a High Lord is to be driven by your own personal ambitions and hopes for the future of humanity as a whole, even if it does take implicit intrigues and double dealings. Now, in conjunction with this, you have other organisations through the Imperium that are at odds with the High Lords themselves and work with different goals and ambitions in mind. So, operating as intended, the Astartes don't have a presence in the High Lords because of their designation as protectorates as opposed to leaders. And obviously they have their own structures internally that vary wildly across the different chapters. But beyond this, you also have the Inquisition acting above and beyond all the other organisations whenever they think it's necessary. They are at times like at odds with the others that exist under that same banner of the Imperium. So similar in like ambition and similar in trying to keep humanity alive, but massively different in methodology.
Oh, the Inquisition.
Our all-time favourite bunch of nutters.
Historically have never done anything wrong or anything out of ambition, right? Have never.
I still think my favourite little thing about the Inquisition, I forget the name of the ordos themselves, but I'm sure there is an order of the Inquisition that is responsible for like time travel shenanigans, but then there's another ordo whose entire existence is dedicated to checking up on the ones that check up on time travel shenanigans. It's something like that. It's like this branch deals with this issue, and this branch deals with this other branch. And it's like, oh, for God's sake, guys, come on.
Sounds like the movie Time Cop.
It does actually. Yes, Ordo Chronos. I think it might be them that have some that just check up on them constantly, but I could be wrong as to which ones they are. I just know that there is one lot in there that they're only there to check on the others, which is great.
I'm honestly shocked that you got the Time Cop reference.
Look, I've seen things occasionally. It's not his best film. His best film is still the Street Fighter.
Yes! Yes! My man! Yes!
Way to go. So good. Anyway, that, like, all of that, that's only at the top. You see it in a smaller scale, time and time again in stories and novels where planetary governors get greedy and sneaky. You know, they're controlling their population. Their desires overshadow their abilities to rule, despite the fact that they are supposed to be rulers. And they will do whatever they can to hold this position because their desire is for a goal that is seemingly endless. This is something that Tzeentch, like, it feeds Tzeentch aggressively. Ambition to no end, combined with personal dreams of grandeur that, despite becoming more and more unobtainable, are still sought after in an almost reckless sense. But at the same time, the opposite also feeds Tzeentch. Take the corrupt planetary governor example. He has ambition, he has a greed-driven desire to get more power and get more fame and more wealth regardless of consequences. But the consequences of this action is a potential revolution at the hands of those who have a strong desire for change in his leadership, with a dash of hope for a different future. This two-pronged concept means that Tzeentch is eating good either way.
Yeah.
No matter which one ends up on top or winning or in power for the longest, whether change happens via revolution, whether the governor succeeds in crushing the population and asserting his rule, like, Tzeentch is eating real good off humanity. He's not getting that sort of meal anywhere else in the galaxy.
Well, I was going to say, I was going to ask if he eats off of Tau, but then Tau don't super have a big presence in the warp or something, right? So they don't really eat well off of Tau or something. Am I right on that?
Yeah, they don't have a presence in the warp. I don't know whether it's classed as like a soul or like a shadow.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
if there is, it's like super, super weak.
And Shai makes a good point. Like, the humans outnumber Tau, like, how many trillions to one? Because the Tau are still a relatively newborn faction race, if you will,
irrelevant
in the
for Tzeentch, I
grand.
guess.
Yeah, so it's like the Tower may be a drop in the bucket. So it's like, whatever. I need to concentrate on the 6-course meal over here, and not the amuse-bouche of the Tau. They're not even an amuse-bouche.
Would you walk away from the all-you-can-eat buffet to grab half a sandwich off someone else's plate in a different room? No.
Honestly, the way we've been talking about the Tau, it's like, would you rather have an all-you-can-eat luxury buffet, or would you like just the crust off of a peanut butter and sandwich that's been sitting on the ground for an hour?
An old crust.
It's just the crust.
It's not even got any of the nutrition in there. It's not even got any protein. It's just
the crust.
Would you like several old carbs? No. I'll have all of this instead, thanks.
I'll have the buffet, thanks. Yeah.
So there is an important quote to round out the concept of Tzeentch when it comes to his baseline presence within humanity itself, which also kind of outlines why he is not so in step with the other folks in the galaxy. So I will, once again, lean on you.
Ooh. Tzeentch feeds upon the need and desire for change that is an essential part of human nature. It is also a part of elven nature, but not to the same extent, as mankind is a far more volatile and ambitious species. All men dream of wealth, freedom, and a better tomorrow, nor are these dreams the preserve of the impoverished or powerless, as even rich men dream of further riches or of an end to their responsibilities. All these dreams create a powerful impetus for change, and the ambition of nations creates a force which can change history. Tzeentch is the embodiment of that force. Ooh.
I do like that it's almost like a critique of humanity as well. It makes it seem like humans, just as a whole, they're just greedier. They just want more. They just want to be on top. They just want like one, like £1 million isn't enough. It needs to be 2 and 5 and 10 and 100 and 1 billion and 1 trillion. And like one, when you look at things like, something that I always find super interesting is the statistics on like lottery winners and how many of them end up bankrupt because they just immediately go, everything that I've wanted to change about my life, I can do it right now. I've always wanted a giant mansion. I've always wanted, 4 supercars. I've always wanted to be able to just, stay on a yacht for 6 months out of the year. Yep. And they just do it. They just go straight in. It's like, do you want to invest any of this? Maybe secure your future? No. Nope. But have you heard of this thing called cocaine? Because I have, and I'd love to give it a go now that I've got the money for it. And it's just
I was going to say, this is
more.
This is leaning more towards a Slaanesh episode now, like, holy.
I guess, yeah, but then it is still that thing of change, isn't it? Like, it's still
it is still fundamentally a destructive change.
Yeah, you just have to do things differently for whatever reason, just immediately driven to completely alter your lifestyle, your habits, how and what you consume, and when, like, it all just gets upheaved instantly. And so many of them end up with nothing. And they've had a vast amount of life change, but at the end of the day, they've not ended up any better, which feels very just as planned, to be honest.
I would imagine Tzeentch would like that even more, because you went from like the change of being maybe lower class, you win the lottery, you are high class, you're spending big, and then you get dropped down lower to where you were, and it's like, oh, but I've had a taste of the good life. And I really want to change back to get to that point. And you probably are just hungrier than you were before to change again.
It's also a good example of the way that all of the different gods kind of tie into each other in some way. Because it's that whole thing of surely like Lucius the Eternal, for instance, a Slaanesh champion, because he's constantly striving for perfection. But he also kills. And has killed hundreds.
A lot.
Surely
It's
that-
one of his favorite pastimes.
Yeah, that in itself is quite a cornate thing to do.
Mhm.
So when he is striving for perfection by, entering into, a lot of the time, honourable combat, that is still Khorne's domain in a way. But he's also seeking to change himself endlessly to become better than what he is, which is a little bit Tzeentchian. So there's a lot of I think it's the thing of surely all of these tie into each other. And I think most of the time they kind of do. But that's when you get these kind of oppositions where, Tzeentch and Nurgle don't get on, and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, do Tzeentch and Nurgle not get on?
I think it's as Shai says, none of them get on, but there's some
Yeah.
diametric opposite things going on where Nurgle is about stagnation and decay, or at least on surface level anyway, whereas Tzeentch wants things to be different. Nurgle is happy to continue a cycle endlessly. Tzeentch doesn't want any cycles. Tzeentch wants things to branch off every single time. I think actually Khorne and Slaanesh, they have a similar thing, because it's the approach of how people, spill blood, collect skulls, the reasoning for it makes a difference as well. So yeah, there's none of them really get on, but some of them don't get on with others more than they don't get on with the other ones, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The Eldar, after fucking around and finding out, literally, have relegated themselves to very rigorous and very predictable paths as a means to temper themselves. That makes them less attractive as an option in the eyes of the God of Change. Even those who stray from those paths follow a fairly consistent course of continued debauchery that fails to be unpredictable as well. Plus, they're already a bit well hidden from the gods anyway. Even the Orcs are a race destined to follow the same path of endless war over and over again.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm sure Tzeentch does not like Eldar, does not like the Orcs. They don't feed them enough. They're very predictable, for sure.
They don't do it right in that they do the same thing by rote, which is not what Tzeentch is about.
No. Yeah, I guess that's true. The Eldar are just oh yeah, we're also just not gonna die. We're just gonna soul stone it up. And so even if we were a very whatever thing, it's you're not getting our soul. You're not gonna feed off us. Good luck.
They've done a good job of insulating themselves from being nabbed by Slaanesh, which they bloody need to.
Yeah, definitely.
And to be fair, it was their fault. So
100% it was there. It is a problem of their own making, for sure.
The Imperium of Man, being built off the ambitious ideal to unite all of humanity under one banner, that is in lockstep with the desire to control the entirety of the galaxy uncontested. Also an impossible feat to accomplish. We as observers of the setting can see this with a fair bit of confidence. The galaxy is just an endless war with races that exceed the Imperium in technology or in brute strength, but this is the furthest thing from impossible, as the drive to do so is perpetual. It's the hopes, the dreams, the schemes, and the ambition that serves as a consistent source of food for Tzeentch. But in order to eat, it has to keep happening. It has to keep changing without defeating the desire to keep going.
Tzeentch must love those silly little hopeful humans.
We're locked in. Humanity in the 40k universe is locked in. They can't stop fighting because that means they get overrun and wiped out. They can't expand because they are too busy fighting and trying to avoid being overrun and taken out. They constantly lose troops to chaos, and even when they aren't losing troops to chaos, the troops that they do have are having to constantly change the way they do things in order to meet a bajillion threats. And all of it is just, so much food. So much tasty, tasty food.
Yeah, and honestly, just think of all of the desire for change in just one hive city.
Please build more hive cities. I like them a lot.
Yes, I love them. Please.
So the other three Chaos Gods, despite knowing that there can't be an endgame, they all operate off the idea of an endgame. Khorne's desire for an endless blood-fueled war is paramount, and the debauchery of Slaanesh begs for the galaxy to be striving for impossible perfection. Tzeentch's endgame, however, is virtually non-existent, at least as far as we know. It's stated everywhere that it is impossible to know Tzeentch, but despite this, it's very in your face when you think about it. He can see all the potential futures of the galaxy and is aware of all possible ends, but there is one thing that's certain, which is that an end terminates all opportunities for hope and for drive. You can't have a tomorrow if everything stops today, so in order to keep up the good fight, Tzeentch needs to make sure that that never happens. The desire and excitement for growth and change, and the desire to gain power, needs to constantly and consistently happen. That's why he's the direct opposite of Nurgle. Nurgle is the acceptance of finality of this mortal coil and just taking it as easy on the straight and narrow as possible. Tzeentch is about evolving and changing past that. Right. So he needs that constant churn. That picture shot.
Yeah, that is Tzeentch after winning the great game 100%. Love it.
Oh, God.
Solid movie, too.
Oh, 100%. Now, Nurgle, as we discussed, in an almost assured inevitability across the galaxy due to the finality of life itself. His presence transcends the boundaries of most species due to it being a universal constant, and the same can kind of be said regarding Khorne and Slaanesh as well. Those three gods represent something a bit more primal. You've got violence, death, and desire. Tzeentch, though, represents an actively dying concept in the galaxy, and he needs this concept to stay alive so that the other gods don't end the great game on him preemptively. So, Tzeentch, in a fairly real way, needs us a bit more than we need him. That gives a bit of an upper hand in the Shark Tank, or the objectively cooler title, Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
It is a cooler title, I'm sorry. I mean,
it is. No, you're right. You're not wrong.
I don't like either show, but Dragon's Den sounds way better. But
Dragon's
this is
Den
why...
is the name of a show?
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys have got Shark Tank, which I'm pretty sure is the same format where it's just a bunch of really rich people.
Yeah,
and then someone comes in and goes, I've invented a 3-player RC car-based basketball game or something. Yeah,
it's how the Scrub Daddy.
Yeah, or like, I've created a new sponge, or here's a table that you can sit at upside down. Like, whatever mad invention it is, or incredibly bland product where you go, there's a bajillion of these, why are you even here? In the UK, it's not Shark Tank, it's Dragon's Den.
Oh,
and you have to
a much
go and,
cooler name, actually.
It really is. You have to go and present your invention or your business to the dragons.
Yeah, and the Dragon's Den is always full of treasure, so like it even makes more sense on that level. Anyway, we're getting a little off topic. Tzeentch, eh? Tzeentch loves the fact that we get off topic too. It's like, oh, the episode branched again. Oh, Tzeentch is eating good. They're off topic again. Love the Adric podcast. I love it.
We are responsible for his starter every week.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that's why, like, Tzeentch has some really cool toys on offer for humanity if we choose to side with him. All the Chaos Gods have at least a few gifts that they can bestow on their followers. Khorne's gifts are mostly based in brute force and weaponry. Nurgle's, obviously, to do with spreading of disease. And Slaanesh's are subject to hentai pixelation. Tzeentch, on the other hand, Jesus Christ, has some of the most interesting ones due to their direct tie-in to magic and spellcasting. And they better be, because unlike fantasy, magic isn't the end-all be-all when it comes to raw power. Followers of Tzeentch are blessed with his mark, and this mark bestows upon the wearer a tiny glimpse into the plans of Tzeentch himself, as well as enhanced psychic abilities and powers akin to that of a sorcerer. So obviously the power can vary from user to user, and some more basic humans will be lighter spellcasters, while Space Marines that take the mark become Chaos Sorcerers that act as the Chaos equivalent of a Space Marine Librarian. But one of the more common gifts is the Eye of Tzeentch, which is a third eye on the recipient's body or armor that gives them the power to see the future to an extent, giving them an upper hand in combat. Which, by the way, that's way cooler than most of the others.
Oh,
Like,
100%. Having literally an all-seeing eye,
yeah,
that's
like
dope.
you look at some of the stuff that you get from Khorne, and it's like this guy's arm is now a buzzsaw. Cool, great. And then you get to Nurgle, and you've got a second mouth in your gut that just keeps dribbling acid down your armor that presumably you have to keep repairing. Slaanesh mostly, especially with the new Emperor's Children models, seems to give you a cone head and an addiction to drugs, which is fine. But for my money, none of those is as cool as being able to see part of the future.
Yeah, that's a nice one. That's a good one. And you get a cool eye somewhere, right?
100%. It looks way better than a big mouth in your gut. And
Way
it also
better.
means that, you're not likely to accidentally decapitate yourself if you've got an itchy forehead because your hand is now a chainsword.
It's true.
It's just better.
Unless the eyeball gets put somewhere weird, like your belly button or,
you
Like,
just get it over one of your normal eyes.
Yeah.
That's kind of lame. He
Or
got
just,
one
like,
on his forehead. It was badass.
Or like replaces like a nipple or something. It's like, what the fuck? I look weird, right? It's just, yeah.
You got to take your armor off to be able to use it.
Yeah, you gotta have nipple holes on like all your armor. It's like, why do you cut your armor? Like, it's the third eye, man. Come on, Jesus.
And it's looking at you and it's disapproving.
Yeah.
There's also a more like optometrist-friendly version of the eye, which is the Destiny of Tzeentch, which gives the ability of the recipients to predict the moves of an adversary. You can also get breath fire.
Oh, let's go.
It does what it says on the tin.
Uh-huh.
You get to breathe fire on people.
Hell yeah.
But the flames are strange and magically manipulated blue flames because it's Tzeentch. So it's objectively cooler than just breathing fire.
I was gonna say, well, I just find it so interesting that Magnus is like the Primarch, is the demon Primarch for Tzeentch, and it's like, man, of all the people that needed future sight really, really badly, boy, he really could have used that third eye. Oh man, he really could have used Tzeentch's foresight to just be like, wow, I'm doing the wrong thing right now. Holy, I am not doing things the way they should be done.
That's the delicious irony, though, isn't it? That's the just as planned bullshit that makes
That's
Tzeentch
that
so
lovely
fun.
Tzeentch thing, yeah.
Absolutely manipulated the shit out of Magnus for years and years and years. And then finally, Magnus gets turned into a winged freak.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I was wrong this entire time.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's like, oh, yeah. Hooray, I fixed the flesh change. All it cost me was an eye. What do you mean I didn't fix the flesh change? God damn it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so brutal. Like, you said you're reading the Thousand Sons book. So much of that is Magnus being like, God, all these idiots need to just listen to me because I know what I'm talking about. And this lot are dumb and stupid. And they're like, oh, it seems bad. The warp's bad. It's not the warp. It's the great ocean. And I have swum in it and I know everything. And then it's like, dude, you've got to stop thinking so hard of yourself. You can't, for someone who is like, this is the thing that I always think with Magnus. For someone so incredibly intelligent, he can be really fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting how often you see that with like just the really smart people that just, they can see so far ahead, but they can't see the forest for the trees. Right? And it's just
yes. What's that phrase? There's a phrase that's something like a little bit of knowledge can be more dangerous than a lot, or something like that. I forget what it is, but it's that idea of like knowing just enough to get yourself killed.
Yeah.
But not enough to save yourself if you end up in that position. It's just kind of like, I know about this. Yeah, but you don't know enough about it, do you?
Yeah, you know,
turns out, no.
Smidge about it. You don't know as much as you think you know, but it's like, yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, Tzeentch gave Magnus just enough rope.
Yeah, 100%. Tzeentch's gifts, they also include some fairly powerful anti-psycho weaponry as well. There's the Talisman of Tzeentch, which is an item that gives the wearer the ability to mentally control other psychers. It's hilarious. While the warp blade can cut through psychic energy that's blasted towards the holder, and a gift that makes you exceed most mortal psychers is being turned into a warp smith, which allows the recipient to manipulate the warp as if they were innate from the warp in the first place. We'll go into some of his... It sounds solid, the warp smith. We'll go into some of his demon weapons that you might be lucky to get in a moment, but we need to talk a bit about his most ridiculous gifts first. One of his gifts, called Ecstatic Duplication, gives the bearer the ability to, upon death, split into 2 blue horrors that flee from the battle, and if those 2 blue horrors come back and re-entwine with one another, the user can be reformed, which is
cool.
Incredible.
What happens if, like, one of the blue horrors gets, like, killed? Is it just like, oh, well, that's game over? And, like, does a part of your soul exist in the other blue horror?
I would guess you're just shit out of luck.
Yeah, probably.
It's
your
just,
soul
that's
goes
it.
to hell. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, man. Because I remember in Boltgun not hating the horrors, but it's like, doesn't a pink horror split off into 2 blue horrors also or something?
I'm trying to remember which way round it is, but I think, is it a blue horror splits into pink, or is it pink splits into blue splits into
I
yellow?
can't remember which way it goes. Wait,
Yeah,
there's a yellow one?
it's something like that. I think there's 3 different versions, isn't it?
Oh, Shai said a pink horror splits into 2 smaller blue horrors when its body is destroyed. Okay.
What are the little ones then? Because I'm sure there are little tiny ones too, but I can't remember what they're called.
Oh yeah,
And
there
I
are those
thought
tiny
Brimstone
little
horror.
Yeah, I thought those were just separate, like, flame demons or something.
Oh, they might be. I might have got mixed up. But
although it'd be so
Tzeentchian
to have, like, it'd be so Tzeentchian to have 3 separate branching off paths depending on, like, if the pink one died or if the blue one died or if the yellow one died or if the flame one died. That's so Tzeentch.
Yeah, there we go. So a dying horror splits into 2 blue horrors, and a slain blue horror will split into a pair of brimstone horrors.
Yep, that's so Tzeentch. That is just the perfect encapsulation of Tzeentch in a demon.
We did it. We killed it. Oh, for fuck's sake.
All right, finally, we killed these other 2. Oh, for God's sakes, not again!
Come on.
It's perfect. Also, Shai says, those that tried to extinguish them, the brimstone horrors, or stamp them out are quickly surrounded, the brimstone horrors joining hands in an incandescent ring around them and singing mocking songs as they turn their victims into blazing pillars of flames. Wow. That sucks.
Is what a way to go. Being mocked to death, and by mocked, also set on fire.
Yeah, that's
rough.
But yeah, that is just that is like the perfect visual representation of Tzeentch.
Yeah. Oh, I will say, I don't know if it's the original sculpts for horrors, but there are some older sculpts for horrors which are hands down better than the ones we have now, because you can see horrors within the horrors, like pulling the mouth open and trying to emerge from them.
Oh, nice.
They look so good.
Did anyone actually enjoy painting metal minis? Because that seems like a gigantic pain in the ass.
Look, I will say, the worst move I've ever, pulled in my entire time playing 40k, I one day decided to sell my Necrons and use the money to buy Sisters of Battle. They were all metal. Everything was metal. And I bought a lot of it. And I realized, maybe 3 models in, this is not for me.
Oh, no.
This is awful. I hate this. It's the worst. I just don't enjoy it. The casts weren't all that good. They were horrible to handle. They just weren't as easy as painting plastic. I could be, there may be people who love it, but given the choice, hell no, plastic every time.
This is such an appropriate Tzeentch episode. We've gone off topic so
I'm so sorry, Shai. Okay.
No, this is how it has to be for a Tzeentch episode, right? It has to be this way. We are feeding him. We are indoctrinating people into Tzeentch. This is what you expect from the god of change. It has to be this way.
Got to throw in a bit of chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep coping.
Listen, Chad, we're not the one that has to edit this. Anyway, Tzeentch, hey?
Of the three of us, I don't know that we're the ones necessarily who are going to be coping, but I will. Let's talk about the another thing that Tzeentch gives you. So the other ones that he can give involve the ability to gain the various body parts of some of his most notable champions. So you can be blessed with the hands of one of the horrors, the arm of a flamer, or even the head of a Lord of Change. So, oh dear Lord. So you can be like Colonel Chestbridge from Danger 5.
You got me on that one. I
don't know
what Danger 5 is. I don't know.
No idea.
Yep.
To be fair, Possum has said one person will get this and hopefully share the sensible chuckle gif from the show on the Discord. Oh no, we found a reference that only one of us has got even the oblique angle on it. We haven't even got the full. Okay, that's.
That totally would be like getting the head of a Lord of Change, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, especially the shotgun.
Also, if you did get a Lord of Change head, do you think it would replace your head, or do you think it would be a second head that you got? Because that's kind of the way Lords of Changes are. They're twin-headed, right?
No, the Lord of Change.
Oh, no, it's Kairos.
Yes, it's Kairos who's got the two heads. The Lord of Change has usually only got one, I believe.
Yeah. I was just remembering in Space Marine 2, because I just recently replayed the thing. When there's the big one, it's just the one head. Okay. I thought it'd be kind of cool if you had like a bird head that like attached to like your shoulder, and it's like, and
I mean, that would be cool. I definitely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we already talked about warp blades, but Tzeentch has got like a massive arsenal of weapons that represent his grand plans on the field of battle. The most generalized weapon you can get from him is called a Death Screamer, insane name, which are weapons that can fire blasts of pure warp magic like bullet rounds. Hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
They, vary in size, but the name just represents a more catch-all term as opposed to it being like a unique type of gun. The same goes for the mutating warp blade. It's a blade that constantly changes in ability with each use, which sounds cool, but also sounds vastly irritating if you're actually trying to use it in a fight.
That sounds like an artifact that Lucius would love. I know Lucius is with Slaanesh, but with how much he gets off on like a sword fight, I bet he would love having something like that would constantly like test his abilities. Yeah.
Oh yeah, maybe. I was thinking like the lack of consistent ability that comes with it would be really annoying. But for someone who prides themselves on just being like the best swordsman no matter what, yeah, I can see that. I think that would just annoy me. I'd be like,
oh, same.
The thing that you gave me 2 fights ago was brilliant. Can I have that back? No? Cool. Okay. Well, sure, I guess I'll just put up with it in the hope that the next one is better than this, whatever this does, which I'm not really sure, because it changes every time.
Though, if you're a champion of Tzeentch, that's probably like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I want, because I have to evolve with the weapon. Otherwise, I won't be able to use it. I have to evolve to a great sword, evolve to a short sword, evolve to a Kopesh, evolve to a chain whip sword thing that like Ivy has. Yeah, so that makes sense as a Tzeentch weapon.
I just love the idea of some random schnook getting one. Not even a follower of Tzeentch. They just pick it up and they're like, what the fuck is this? It doesn't work properly. I don't understand. I don't need a chain with a hook on the end. I'm trying to have a fight with a dude with a power fist. What are you doing to me? Please stop.
Or the dude picks it up and it starts out as a little tag. He's like, oh yeah, I'll just put this under my pillow at night. And he accidentally impales himself because it becomes like a great sword. Oh God, I just slept with it under my pillow. I thought it was such a good idea. And
a flaming great sword.
Yeah,
at 3
burns
a.m.
the house down.
The worst wake-up call ever.
The "this is fine" gif or the "this is fine" meme. Yeah, but oops. Thanks.
Speaking of which, and this wasn't planned, thousands of years ago, an Astra Militarum flamer was taken, and a flamer of Tzeentch was bound within it.
Oh, so, of course. All right.
This weapon is now known as. I'm just going to copy paste this in. Right, I don't even know where to start with this. Kruzatchel?
Ooh. I
I
would say Krzaczel, yeah, something like that.
Sure.
Something like that. I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a very Tzeentch name where you got to evolve and just roll with the punches and pray that you get it. Yeah,
it's an absolute bullshit name. And it emits a colourful array of flames when used, which sounds delightful. However, instead of burning things, the flames relentlessly mutate anything they touch.
Oh, lovely. Just great. Wow. Truly the Tzeentchian weapon we needed.
That's great, Shine. IRL Tzeentchian weapon.
Yep, the
Tzeentch has some other... it's great. I love the little axe. What you do with
hammer.
That? Oh, I didn't even see the hammer.
I would imagine the little hammer is actually one of those things that you keep in your car to break glass. In case, yeah.
The axe and the hammer makes pliers.
Oh, wow, it does.
That's genius. Hell yes. I want one now.
Hell yeah.
So Tzeentch also has some highly notable artifact weapons that need to be showcased due to their bizarre and seemingly overpowered nature. Mm-hmm. There's the Everstave, which is a staff that wreathes the holder in pink flames and gives the wielder the appearance that they are an endless torrent of pink fire. They are also able to launch pink fireballs at enemies with it, and this fire not only turns armor to ash, but mutates the flesh underneath.
Ooh, that
badass.
Sounds really dope. Oh yeah, that does seem really OP too.
It really does. There's another staff called Paradox, which lives up to its name. Everyone that looks on it sees a different weapon. Its true form is an ebon rod engulfed in dark flames. The wielder can use its abilities to be unpredictable to tame the unpredictability of the warp, essentially casting an Uno reverse card onto warp disruptions.
Wow, that's pretty dope too. Tzeentch has got some really cool artifact weapons so far.
100%. There's also Soulbane, an incredibly crafted sword that inflicts no physical harm onto the person struck by it. Sounds rubbish, but it passes through skin and armor with ease, and instead of cutting through the person's physical form, Soulbane tears through the soul of the person it strikes, leaving the entity struck by it screaming with agony as they collapse on the ground as their soul bleeds from their body.
Oh no. Wow. That is a hell of a sword. Holy.
That is rough. That is real rough.
So you can't get into a duel with Soulbane because it's going to go right through your sword. It's going to go right through your armor. Although Soulbane also would be very dangerous for the user, right? Because if you're in a duel, right, and it's the other guy gets the first strike, it's let me put up Soulbane to block it. It's nope, because it'll go right through again, right?
I'm assuming so. You got to be real careful with that.
Yeah, that is kind of a double-edged sword.
That's reminding me of the swords from, what are they called? Are they oath weapons? From the Brandon Sanderson series, the name of which I've forgotten.
Oh, I've not read any of the Sanderson books.
Stormlight Archive books, that's it. There's these swords that a lot of the main characters have where they kind of operate like normal weapons, but they just seem to pass through armor and flesh, and wherever they touch, it goes all black and horrible, and the person just dies as their soul leaves their body. It's hardcore. It's great.
Damn. What a weapon.
The last weird weapon, though. The last one ties in perfectly with our next stop in the Crystal Labyrinth. It's another one of these. Koak?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Sure.
Koak? Yeah, sure. Yeah, that is a name, I guess.
Yep.
Jesus.
For God's sake. Come on, Tzeentch. Let's have something pronounceable. So, Koak was once known as Koak the Boundless, and was a demon of Tzeentch that was, for the lack of a better description, kind of a pain in the arse. It would just meddle in the affairs of the Lords of Change, and it got to the point where even Tzeentch got fed up with the amount of bullshit that it was pulling. So, as a means to stop it, Tzeentch bound Koak to a sword. But the demon wouldn't be called Boundless if that were the case, whenever the blade that Koak is bound in strikes an adversary, Koak is somehow able to whisk them away through some form of temporal anomaly. How Koak is able to do anything like this while bound in a sword is completely unknown, but what is known is that whenever this happens, a new plume appears on the hilt of the blade. That's great. I love that.
So so this is a sword that when you hit someone with it, they just get whisked away to just a random location that nobody knows about, and then a plume, like a flower, just appears on the hilt?
I would guess it would be a nice feather showing up on the hilt of the blade
Mm-hmm.
every time you hit someone with it, and they just disappear. Because the demon trapped in it is like, yoink, mine, and just gets rid.
Yeah, I was like, does that mean it like teleports it to whatever little realm inside the sword that Koak is in, and then maybe he eats them or something? But it sounds like they just kind of get yoinked to somewhere unknown to everyone. Although you kill enough people with that thing.
Imagine it sends people to Brazil.
I guess it's possible. Also, do you think whatever unknowable place they all get sent to, they're all just kind of having a party now, and they're just like, "Oh, you got hit by Koak too? Yeah, me too. That was like 1,000 years ago, but there's donuts and coffee at the table. We've made a little circle of chairs if you'd like to talk about it, and we're here for eternity."
I love the idea that Koak's realm is actually some sort of retirement home, and it's just like, oh, look. Once you get over the shock, it's actually kind of nice here.
Yeah.
It expands with every new person. So, I mean, there's literally thousands of us here because one person who had it was wrong. But you know what? We got plenty of space. There's good food and drink. Don't stay in the water too long or you'll mutate into a fish, but not where you think. And just, relax. It's just an actually quite nice place to hang out.
That may
for the ultimate change, the ultimate twist. Going from a war-torn nightmare to that.
That may be the most British thing I think I've ever heard you say. Oh, yeah, he was wrong in that one.
I'm thinking about it. I think I've said someone is a wrong one more on this podcast than I've said anywhere else.
I mean, considering the subject matter, that tracks.
It comes up a lot. There's a lot of wrong uns, to be honest.
There's not a lot of right
Warhammer.
In Warhammer, yeah.
Let's talk about demons. We've talked about Koak in the sword, who was once a demon. There's other demons, obviously. You've got your Lord of Change, your classic Lord of Change, which is synonymous with Tzeentch as we know him today, but the tone has gone through a few revisions. The seemingly stoic and at times deeply confused bird monstrosity we know now is more bizarre than you would imagine. The Lord of Change is so deep within the essence of Tzeentch that the idea of it having some form of physical form bothers it. But it's less about their physical appearance being bizarre and more about their attitude, which I've got another quote for you here.
Let's go. It is a playful and wreckful mind that lies behind the bird-like gaze of the Lord of Change, deeply intelligent, yet as uncaring of consequences as it is fascinated by it. The Lord of Change is like a child playing upon some gigantic anthill, poking it with a stick poking with a stick at its inhabitants and laughing at the hopeless antics of their defiance. Yeesh.
That makes them more scary, for my money.
Yeah, I think that does. That they're like cosmic children that are just like, I'm squishing bugs. Is like, yeah, that's kind of terrifying.
Oh my God. Yeah, if they were like cold, if they were cold calculating bastards, it would be like, oh wow, that's scary. They're just going, if I poke this town hard enough, something fun might happen.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's poke it. Let's poke it a bit more. Oh, they don't like being poked. I'm going to poke them again. Like, that's way worse somehow.
God, what a dick. What a dick.
Lord of Change. Nature's arsehole, apparently.
Yep. 100%. Sheesh.
They are known for being like blue and yellow. in their plumage, but they can change that whenever they want to because they don't find consistency to be essential to their existence. They are described as master tacticians, but that is a bit unfair. It's pretty easy to be a master tactician if you have an understanding of what's going to happen in the first place. But
when you can see the future, yeah.
But sometimes a Lord of Change will disregard their foresight in favour of embracing the ideas of chance and fortune that feed their masters. So I like the idea that they can look at what's going to happen and then just go, yeah, not going to do that. We'll do something else.
That's
Why not?
kind of cool that like they can see the future, but because like being under Tzeentch and being like a Tzeentch demon, they really like the idea of just change and random chance. They're like, no, I could see the future. I'm just going to roll the dice. It might end up bad for me, might end up worse. I don't really care. I really like the idea that I don't know. And hey, random chance be damned. Also, Shai said, oh, they hate consistency. Maybe they write for GW. Chef's kiss. Just great. Hell yeah.
Oh, dear. We've also got the horrors, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got two distinct horrors. We've got the pink horror and the blue horror. I do like this little quote. The blue horror is almost identical to the pink horror, but it's blue rather than pink, and its temperament is different. It's just like, cool.
So it's such a good representation of Tzeentch, because it's just like, it is, but it isn't. It's the same, but it's not.
Yeah.
And it's just, Shai said, I don't know if that's in the script, but Lords of Change basically are like, you can only kill me if it's part of Tzeentch's plan, so get fucked. Really? Well,
it's
I
not,
mean,
but that is worth noting.
Honestly, I guess that's the way it is with everything in Tzeentch. If you manage to get there, like, oh, God, you stabbed me. Joke's on you, asshole. This was all part of the plan. And it's like, okay, whatever. I still killed you, dude. Like,
I like it. Makes it again. It feels like a spiteful child behavior.
Yeah, it does.
It's like, yeah. I mean, you think you won, but only because I wanted you to. It's like, oh, just take the L. Stop it. Just let me have this. Come on. Nope. And instead, it's like, no. I wanted this. Otherwise, you wouldn't have get to do it. It really is just as planned, isn't it? It's just exactly. No matter what you do, all part of the plan, whether you like it or not.
Yep. All according to Keikaku.
So yeah, we've got the horrors as well, which we have talked about a little bit, but that quote is excellent. Just that blue horrors almost identical to pink horrors, but it's blue rather than pink, and its temperament is different. So the book, the Realm of Chaos book, is literally just saying they're almost identical, except for the fact that they're not. So
again,
cool,
perfect way to describe Tzeentch stuff. Love it.
Yeah, they are, to be fair, actually quite different. Like the pink horrors are known as squealers or screamers due to their more rambunctious and almost frantic appearance on the battlefield. The blue horrors are the opposite. They wear a perpetual scowl, they're in a terrible mood all the time, and they would rather be doing anything else. And instead of howling and screaming, they tend to just wander around and grumble to themselves. But when you anger them enough, they burst into a rage and just become absolutely relentless. They are just whiny grumblers, basically.
Oh, so what you're saying is they're the same, but not. Got it.
Yep. The blue ones only appear after a pink one is killed in battle. So, like we said before, they split into a couple of them, and then they split down again.
And then again into the brimstone demons.
Yep. So the difference, it does extend into how they fight as well. Like, they're both made out of pure magic, but one tends to use actual magic more than the other. And as you probably guessed, it isn't the blue horror. The blue horrors will go up to an enemy and grab them with their massive hands and beat them to death. Meanwhile, the pink ones sprint around and shoot off spells like they're a weaponized Roman candle.
Lovely.
We can't talk about blue horrors without the mention of Patarix and Zirapt. I've got to show you these, just so you can appreciate that it's yet more Tzeentch bullshit.
Oh man, I've never seen a faction love that apostrophe quite as much as Tzeentch.
I absolutely can't get enough of it. Also, the fact that it's just the same name but backwards is really tickling me. I like that a lot.
Oh man, until you said that, I didn't even notice it. But that is great. Actually, I do quite love that. But yeah, Tzeentch brought to you by the apostrophe. Gee.
Yeah.
God.
These guys are known as the Blue Scribes. So they were created by Tzeentch after a near-fatal conflict with the other Chaos Gods. And during that conflict, most of what Tzeentch created and wrote was scattered throughout space and time after he destroyed his own staff as a sign of surrender. These two guys were given the near-impossible task to go through the folds of reality and all possible dimensions. Now,
Wow.
we've got another one. Now, you may be asking yourself, Kirioth, you lion-hearted nobleman.
He somehow keeps getting better.
they get more extreme every time. Why did Tzeentch select these two creatures to complete this task and not, say, a Lord of Change? Well, it's because they are dumb, they can't read well, and they constantly fight with each other. He can't trust them with this knowledge because they have no idea what's going on and never will. If they ever complete their impossible mission, Tzeentch will become quite literally unstoppable.
Oh, all right, cool.
Like an active work of self-sabotage by getting two idiots to do this thing that would make you unstoppable. It's just so... Oh, dear.
If they ever do it, they'll become unstoppable, but don't worry, they'll never do it because they're illiterate moron.
Yeah.
Great.
And also, I am the one who sent them to do it. The person who could become unstoppable.
That's such a Tzeentch thing to do. Like you said, the ultimate self-sabotage just for the lulz and just for this seems like it'd be a bullshit thing to do. Wow. Incredible.
I do love that art, yeah. The book on the head. It's so good.
Like the blue horde just be like, this is how books work, right? Donk.
It also functions as a hat. Please just write down what's in it, please. Oh, no.
Oh, geez.
We also have flamers and discs as well. So, like the horrors, the flamers of Tzeentch are made out of pure magic, but they're weird. They travel along the ground as what's described as a soft skirt of pinkish flesh like an inverted mushroom.
Ew.
I'm 100% with you. I had the same reaction just now as I did when I first read that yesterday. And I immediately just was like, oh, God. And I was expecting to not get that this time, but I got it anyway. I was just like, ugh.
I mean, there's grosser stuff in Warhammer, but just the thought of like skirting around on an inverted mushroom.
It's the soft skirt of pinkish flesh by itself is just gross. And I don't really know why it's gross, but it is gross.
Yeah, it is. It's very body horror adjacent, it feels like.
Yeah, not a fan. This strange skirt-like body rises up to two tube-like arms, which act as flamethrowers for this creature, and it's unable to act on its own. Its thoughts and actions are dominated by the Lord of Change that's closest to them, so they are basically just an instrument of war for their demon masters. Funnily enough, the fire is not regular fire. It's weird magic fire that causes mutations and manipulations within reality because Tzeentch.
Yeah, I was going to say that's about par for the course today. Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah, the discs of Tzeentch are also known as the steeds of Tzeentch, and in the Imperium, these discs are strange wisps of smoke with eyes, but as soon as they phase into the real world, they turn into menacing, toothy, horseshoe crab-like demons. Some of them look natural and fish-like, while others look more metallic and plate-like. Regardless, they are predatory and they move through the air with unreasonable speed to tear apart their prey.
I've never seen one that looked fish-like. Like, I've seen the metallic ones. I don't think I've ever seen one that looked like fish-like. These are the discs that they like stand on, right? And they just kind of hover around on. And yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one that looked fish-like. Although I think the only time I've
I think for the most part, Games Workshop sticks with the discs, but the Blue Scribes, looking at it, They seem to be riding like a manta ray style disc.
Yeah. The
And then
pizza one we saw that Chai had.
and then the pizza one from earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I know in Space Marine 2, you've got the Zangor shamans that are riding round, but they're on the metallic ones with their garbage attack that I can never dodge no matter what I do, where they fling the disc at you.
Yeah, and I think it's because, like, I've really only ever built Thousand Suns, and they're always on the metallic one. They really don't have the, I feel like you'd have to get, like, the specific Tzeentch demons to really see, like, the fish-looking ones like that. But yeah, oh my god, that art of the disc looks so good with, like, the trail of, like, orange screaming souls coming out of it. Golly.
That is so good. I love the design, a lot of the Tzeentch stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's proper creepy, just creepy weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
We also have the demons that begin with the. So there's 2 other demons of note that would be great to go over, but they don't really fit the mold of any of the previously mentioned entities and seem to be a bit more standalone, hooded menaces. So the first is known as the Reckoner, a being who has only shown up once, but clearly has immense power. So I'm going to, once again, give you a bit of reading.
All right. It took another 2 hours of walking before the Thousand Suns finally approached the Reckoner. In that time, he had not moved so much as a muscle, and Ahriman took the opportunity to study him and the inconsistent streamers of aether light that clung to him like corpuscant. He had great power, that much was clear, but he was of mortal scale, hunched over in pale blue robes threaded with gold symbols of mystic significance. No face was visible beneath his hood, only the vague suggestion of deathless blackness and a pair of hollow eyes. In one hand he held a long staff topped with a beaked skull wound with boiled leather and packed with sickly fragrances like the plague doctors of old Earth. His other arm was hidden within many folds of fabric, suggestive of proportions they were insidiously wrong, as if unnatural anatomy lurked just beneath. Well, he sounds like a freaky boy.
Sounds badass. What a great description. That's really cool.
Also, that art of him is great. That Eldari is getting absolutely trucked.
He's getting rinsed. Look at him.
Yeah.
No chance.
He's in the spin cycle for sure. Sheesh.
So the Reckoner is able to take souls to specific points in time down a river of memories that runs through his domain. What a sentence. But there's a price for this. Those who wish to go through these memories must re-experience their most painful memories as the Reckoner drowns them in the river. As they gasp for air, they find themselves back in time in their intended destination. And he was used by the Thousand Suns to find the location of one of Magnus's shards. I really like his artwork. Like, his design is very cool. It's also not a million miles away from the other demon that we need to talk about, which we're going to close out the episode by talking about the absolute menace that is the Changeling. Though briefly mentioned before, the things the Changeling has done are absolute nonsense, but in the best way.
Okay.
The Changeling is the most accomplished trickster in Tzeentch's repertoire, so much so that it is the pure embodiment of his deceptive nature. He is, as you can imagine, a master at form changing and can change into literally anything you can imagine with unfailing precision. When not in a transformed state, he looks nearly identical to the Reckoner. His model is fantastic, by the way. Would recommend. Look at that. Oh, is that so good?
Wow.
That's the Changeling.
Oh, that's so good.
That's great.
Oh man, the something about a figure that is in a cool robed hooded form, you cannot see their face. It is just completely shrouded like that. It's just like, oh, it's always so aesthetically so cool.
It's great. It's one of my favorite miniatures Games Workshop's ever done. That it's just
also you can roll the Changeling in the tabletop.
Yeah,
that must be a good mini.
I know you can have him in AOS. I don't know if you can have him as part of a Thousand Suns army. I actually don't know, but yeah, he is available. You can use him.
Hell yeah!
badass. So, due to his nature, he is utterly restless and constantly roams the galaxy and the depths of the warp itself just to cause as much mischief as possible. So, here's a bunch of things he's done of note in the 40k setting, because he exists in the exact same capacity in fantasy and has done some similarly outrageous stuff. So, I guess then you can use him in 40k.
Yeah.
So, he disguised himself as a grot and modified war boss Git Smasher's favourite mega shooter in a way that caused it to backfire and wipe out Git Smasher and his entire horde.
Well, yeah, that tracks.
This one, oh my god. He disguised himself as a keeper of secrets who provided an Imperial commander, who was under siege from the Dark Angels, a powerful artifact that would put an end to the siege in exchange for the souls of his daughters. The powerful artifact ended up being a teleport homer for the Raven Ring, so the Dark Angels were able to put an end to the siege.
Okay, well, yeah, that's okay. All right.
Absolute double-crossing lunacy.
Yeah, crazy.
He disguised himself as a Slaaneshi demon and was able to sneak into Slaanesh's lair and cut off the Dark Prince's hair with a Hellblade.
Wow.
And I know, it's mental. He also disguised himself as a corn demon and made his way to the Skull Throne and put 3 Nurglings on the throne, creating a hideous noise and an unholy mess the next time Corn sat down.
Such a weird thing to do. That is like the demon equivalent of going up to the Skull Throne and just being, I'm gonna put a whoopee cushion on this thing. He's gonna be so mad. And like,
it's
wow,
so
you're so
juvenile.
petty, dude. What the hell?
the power to disguise yourself as something so clearly and so well that you can sneak into Slaanesh's lair and sneak all the way up to the Skull Throne, and in both cases, all you do is just mildly fuck with them. It's just like, what is this use of your power? What are you doing? And the answer is having a laugh.
Yep.
He's just enjoying himself. He's just, out here living his best life.
What else is he going to do to them? Right? Because it's like, that's kind of all you can do to like Khorne or Slaanesh. It's just mildly, play pranks on him. Because if you're just like, oh yeah, I'm going to reveal, I'm the Changeling. I've made it all the way here. It's like, oh, right. You're a chaos
god. Such an insane risk, though.
Yeah, it is insane. It's also kind of crazy
payoff?
that the Changeling managed to be in Slaanesh's presence without immediately just falling head over heels. Because that's Slaanesh's thing, right? If you ever are in their presence, it's like immediately just like, enrapturement. Oh my god, of course I'll serve you. Of course. And you start thirsting for she who thirsts, right?
He's just too dedicated to his eternal drive to just shit stir. He was put here for one purpose, and that was to mess around and spoil other people's days, and nothing can deter him from that.
What a Chad.
What an absolute legend. What a fitting note to go out on for Tzeentch. Just fucking with other people for no reason other than just kind of felt like it, really.
Tits are temporary, memes are forever. Hell yeah.